Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Ozanek and welcome to Destination Michigan. Whether you're a summertime adventurer seeking fun in the sunshine or braving the blustery winter is more your style, we have plenty that's sure to pique your interest in today's episode. So let's not waste any time and take a sneak peek at what we have coming up. We board the ferry and head out to explore Drummond Island in the eastern Upper Peninsula. We'll introduce you to the family behind Apsey Farm in Clare and take in the sights and sounds of the pasture. At Top of the Lake Snowmobile Museum in Nobbinway, nearly 200 rare and unique sleds are housed under one roof. And a little snow won't stop these rafters from taking in the views along the picturesque Sturgeon River. Finally, we'll spice things up with a little Christmas spirit at Rooftop Landing Reindeer Farm. Buckle in because our Destination Michigan adventure begins right now. We're starting things off today with Destination Michigan's very own Steve Smith. He's continuing his island hopping adventure in this episode as he heads north of the mighty Mac for a tour of Drummond Island.
With the Great Lakes comes great islands. In terms of size, Drummond Island off the eastern tip of the Upper Peninsula is the 7th largest lake island in the world and the 5th largest in the contiguous United States. The year-round population is roughly 1,100 people. It's an outdoor paradise. Even getting there is fun.
Basically, when you come here, you have to cross a ferry. I mean, people come here because it's peaceful, it's enjoyable. We have beautiful, beautiful sunsets. We have beautiful northern lights. We have pristine water. Drummond Township has 53 islands, including Harbor Island National Wildlife Refuge. So when you talk about pristine, this is it. And it was 63% either federally or state-owned. So it's always going to be like this.
The busiest spot on Drummond is the Four Corners, where a handful of businesses cater to the needs of locals and visitors alike. Bigfoot stands guard over the grocery and dry goods store. The total size of Drummond is 249 square miles, divided almost equally between land and water. The British occupied the island and established Fort Drummond after the War of 1812.
The British are the ones that gave it the name Drummond Island. He was their commander of the Lake District, but he probably never set foot on Drummond Island, the island that bears his name.
A local museum on Drummond is chock full of historical artifacts that takes you back to the days of the Seamans and Baileys, who first inhabited the Rock, as it's called. You'll find an original stone chimney that was rescued from the Dolomite Quarry. A diorama of Fort Drummond is on display, along with countless other treasures. It's a must-stop on your visit to the island before you head outside to play.
Most people fish. In the fall, they like to hunt. It's wonderful for bird watching. The animals here, what drew me to Drummond, because I moved here from Southern California, is the wildlife. They have bear, deer, wolves, coyotes. There's actually not only bald eagles, but there's the osprey, which hovers and dives into the water to catch our fish. And then there is the golden eagles. It's just fabulous to watch them fly. And there's off-roading. A lot of the Jeeps like to come here and off-road. It's challenging. The trails are not groomed. They are natural.
Drummond boasts over 80 miles of extremely serious jeeping trails, and another about 35 miles of trails that are dirt roads that connect all that. This is not like sand dunes. This is not like old railroad bed trails. You come here, you're playing with the big boys.
Of course, golfing is included at 2 courses, including the Rock. Off-roading is popular, as is simply relaxing and enjoying the scenery. Rare geographical features of Drummond include the largest remaining alvar in North America. It's basically rock covered with a thin layer of soil. You'd have to travel to Scandinavia, Estonia, or Ireland to find anything similar.
The alvar is a very unusual landscape. It's said to be 42 million years old. It was just a gorgeous scene this year with what they call prairie smoke. For the most part, when you look at it, you know it looks like it would have millions of years ago.
Another rare find on Drummond is the pudding stone, another gift of the glaciers. It's only found in a 50-mile stretch in Ontario that touches a small part of the UP. It got its nickname from the British soldiers who believed it resembled boiled suet pudding with berries.
Technically, it is a chert quartz jasper conglomerate. These white spots right here you see, those pieces, that's the quartz. And if you cut it thin enough, you can actually hold it up and see right through it. It's translucent. The red is jasper. The red represents a level 7 hardness rock, extremely hard. In fact, this rock is cataloged as the second hardest rock in all of North America. Only diamonds in the Northwest Territory are harder. According to the Canadian government, St. Joseph Island and Drummond Island was the epicenter of the pudding stone. So people have been coming to Drummond Island since the 50s for pudding stone.
Jim and his wife own a rock shop where they create items made with pudding stone, which they sell across the street in their must-see gift shop. So whether it's shopping, off-roading, hiking, kayaking, or seaplaning, Drummond Island has the welcome sign out year-round.
You can get here after you see how many people are being brought by the 2 ferries that run constantly in the summertime. And you might think you're going to find a busy island, but you get here, and I think it's because of all the state land, but you can find lots of quiet places.
I mean, the natural, the pure air, the clean water. We want everybody to come and experience this island for yourself, how beautiful it is, how peaceful it is.
To help you plan your Drummond Island journey, the Islands Tourism Association has all the info you need to get the most out of your island excursion. Knowing where our food comes from and how it's grown and its impact on the environment are real concerns for many people. More and more are turning to local farmers for everything from vegetables to eggs and meats. In Osceola County, one family is trying to do its part to not only produce quality meats, but make sure they do it in a sustainable and holistic way. Stephanie Mills heads to Apsey Farms to learn more about their practice.
I have very fond memories growing up and spending my summer helping my grandpa on the farm, baling hay, raking, fixing a lot of equipment mostly, but so many fond memories.
Kyle Apsey is a 4th-generation farmer. He was born and raised right here on Apsey Farms just outside Reed City. For Kyle, being a hard worker runs in his blood.
So Apsey Farm, it's a centennial farm. My great-grandparents started the farm when he brought his cattle up from the Grand Rapids area all the way up here. And we've had cattle ever since. About 5 or 10 years ago, we started to realize the impact that the food we eat has on our health and in the health of the planet.
The family has seen a lot of changes over the years. With a greater focus on taking care of the earth and continuing their legacy, the Apseys are dedicated to enhancing their sustainable practices by caring in the best possible ways for their animals and the pastures they roam.
We started hearing all these things about cows being bad for the world and attributing to climate change. And in a lot of ways, it's true with our industrial food system and how the conventional system is set up to produce cheap and addictive food as efficiently as possible. And such so where feedlots are the norm, and we wanted a better way to raise the food that we eat, one that was better for the land, the animals, and the people that eat the food. Through research, reading a lot, and by mimicking nature, the way the farmers used to farm 100 years ago, before the industrial system, we can use our animals to graze rotationally on the fields and then supply all the nutrients and manure to build the soil. And we've really found that the healthier the soil, the healthier the plants that grow on the land, the healthier the animals are that eat the grasses and the plants, and then the healthier the consumer that eventually eats the food.
All cattle here at Apsey are 100% grass-fed, and they're always on the move, even in the winter months. They're also introducing other ways and animals like turkey and chicken to further enrich the soil and lessen their carbon footprint.
So about 3 days after the cows go through, we'll bring the chickens along, and they'll eat through the bugs and grasses and help disinfect, so we don't have to use any chemicals at all. And along with that, we can produce an even healthier meat product. We are very transparent with everything that we do. We are active on social media so people that aren't in the area can see behind the scenes what's going on. And we love to give tours and open up our farm for families and others to reach out and come visit the farm and actually see how your food is grown and why we do the things that we do.
The hard work for these farmers is really never ending, especially because for most, farming isn't their day job. Most have other full-time jobs. The Apsey farm has been around since 1913. As the next generation takes over, they're doing all they can to preserve their legacy for the next generation.
Most farmers have to have a job outside the farm to support them. And unfortunately, my grandparents and my dad have always worked off the farm so that we can make this a reality and make it so that we have the opportunity to continue the legacy and to produce better food for all. I would recommend everyone, at the end of the day, try to have a relationship with your farmer and know how your food was raised, where it came from, and do your part to help improve the environment and our food system for years to come.
Apsey does not have a storefront, but ships all their meat through the mail. They also have a number of pre-made meal packages. To learn more about Apsey Farms and all that they offer, you can head to their website. Now we trade in the warmth of summer for the chill of winter. As inch after inch of fresh snow starts falling, snowmobile riders all across Michigan head out onto the trails. In the town of Nobbinway in the central Upper Peninsula, there's a museum that celebrates snowmobile history and houses some of the rarest sleds in the world. As chairman of the Top of the Lake Snowmobile Museum, Charlie Valor fields a lot of questions about the sleds under their roof.
What's the oldest? What's it worth? That's a $1 million question. Does it run? Can we take it out and ride it?
Snowmobiling is in Charlie's blood. As a kid, he actually convinced his dad to start a Viking snowmobile dealership. Some of the original sleds from his childhood are on display, along with many, many others.
Now we have 185 sleds here at the museum. I've got a bunch of my collection in here, and there's a guy from Sydney, Ohio that's got a bunch of his collection in here. We're both big collectors, and there's other individuals that have sleds here. It's got to be something interesting, something that looks good. It's got some history behind it that we want, local stuff we like. And then Bombardiers Museum in Valcourt, Quebec donated 33 sleds to us. It's a real gift that they give us. Some of these sleds we wouldn't be able to have if it wasn't for Bombardier donated them. They changed their museum about 3 years ago. So they chose this museum to give these 33 sleds to, so we're patting ourselves on the back. Some unique stuff, like I said, we'd never be able to have. The Fin Cat, we'd never be able to have that. They're so rare, yes, hard to find.
Unlike today, the first snowmobiles that were built actually had very little to do with recreation. Because when you live in an area that's hit with the harshest winters in the world, everything is about necessity.
The man that's been blessed with the first manufactured one was a trapper in Wisconsin. He wanted to get further out into the woods to run his trap line. So in 1924, he used bicycle chain, bicycle sprockets, 3-horse outboard motor with a little radiator on it to get further into woods trapping. And then in the 30s, something like that, the military wanted to buy 200. He couldn't produce with 200, so he contracted with the front wheel drive company, and they produced the first 200, so he's been blessed with the first manufactured sled, Eliason Motor Toboggan. They weren't called snow sleds, they were called motor toboggans. His were. It looks like a toboggan with a motor on it. Locally here, they were used for commercial fishing. In the wintertime, when the ice would freeze over, the lake would freeze over, you go 3 miles out into Lake Michigan, you get 300 pounds of fish. You had to have a way of towing them off the ice. Utility companies was another big use for them. Farmers, loggers, and then we got into the recreation end of it. And of course, when the recreation end of it came, the race part of it came, and it's what we have today. A lot better machine today than we had way back then.
Snowmobile technology has come a long way since the 1920s. Today's racing sleds can reach speeds of over 100 miles an hour. The museum is home to a number of sleds that were champions in one of the most grueling races around, the UP's very own I-500.
The I-500 started in 1969. The I-500 is a 500-mile enduro race, so you have to have a well-built machine that can take the pounding for 500 miles at 100 miles an hour. It's a lot tougher built, it's got better motors, stronger motor. They redo the motors on them, they beefing everything up so it can take that. But we have the #2 winner in 1970 was on a Chaparral. We have a replica of it. The original one was stolen. We've got the winner on a Yamaha, 1984, I think it was, won it one year. We have another Skidoo owned by the Musselman family, which is now Woody's, that won it 2 years in a row. We have a local boy, Steve Edwards. We have his machine in here that he raced back in the early 2000s. We like the local stuff.
The sleds on the showroom floor are definitely the main attraction, but when you walk around the museum, you notice that every nook and cranny is loaded with memorabilia.
We've got a lot of the old dealer signs, they're called, old suits, and we've got them on mannequins. The clothing was a big thing, and that's a collectible now, the clothing. Oil cans, we've got an awesome collection of different oil cans. Some oil cans can bring some big bucks if you've got the right one. We also have the cutters. We have a really cool, we call the Santa Claus cutter. It was made by Bombardier. It's a sought after one. We have one here. We have a camper. It was made by Carefree in Charlotte, Michigan, and it's a pop-up camper just like you would have behind your car. It would fold down into itself.
With nearly 200 snowmobiles in the collection, Charlie says they're not looking to add any more anytime soon. But as a man who clearly has a passion for these machines, the allure of finding an old sled to fix up and ride is always on his mind.
You know, they call it collecting snow sleds. The hunt is a big part of it. You've got to hunt the machine down. That's part of it. You bring it home, you see if it's got spark compression. It's got to make a lap around the yard. You get it fired up. It may not look very great. The challenge of getting it running. I like riding the Huskies. That's a family favorite of mine. I have a Bozak Power Toboggan here. At one time, it was the only one in Michigan. You know, that's kind of partial to me. Of course, the Vikings, my dad was a Viking dealer, so I like the Vikings. Like them all.
For those of you out there fixing up your own antique sled, Top of the Lakes also houses an extensive library containing manuals and periodicals covering nearly every type of machine ever made. To tour the library and learn more about the museum, information can be found on their website, snowmobilemuseum.com. Now, snowmobilers aren't the only ones getting out there and enjoying Michigan's low temps. In the town of Indian River, rafters are braving the cold and showing everyone how a traditional summer activity can break up the monotony of your winter.
When I call out a command of all forward, it's just that. We're going to come over the top and pull with the bottom with a nice straight up and down paddle.
I wanted to say one thing, my favorite Mary Oliver quote, what is it you intend to do with your one wild and precious life? You got to live it up and look for adventure.
And adventure you will find at Big Bear Adventures in Indian River. Ever consider a winter rafting trip down the scenic Sturgeon River?
We started the winter trips in 2001. It's gone over very, very well, but of course it takes a very adventurous type of person that's willing to try something like this because the idea of rafting and winter usually don't go together. But it's one of the few winter activities where you can actually sneak up on animals because they don't hear you coming.
Initially, I was like, oh my gosh, what if we hit the ice and the rafts pop and we all drown and we all die? but it felt very safe, it was very calm. And you felt like the guides were very competent too, and they told you about the river a little bit while you were going along. So that made it really nice too and enjoyable.
When it's really cold, it will freeze from the outside and start working its way in to the point where sometimes we run this and we only have like 2 inches on each side of the raft to get through. So all of a sudden you have to kind of maneuver and go through it. Yeah, it gets a little interesting.
It runs through a lot of state forest land. The Sturgeon River itself is the fastest river in the Lower Peninsula. It's not whitewater, but just a constant quick. It drops about almost 14 feet per mile is the gradient, which also helps it stay open all winter long because of how quick it is. There's a lot of canopy trees of cedar. It just keeps it more private, and at this time of year, you don't really see anybody else.
Big Bear Adventures is a year-round destination for fun and frolic that's been a fixture of Indian River for nearly 40 years. From bumper boats and putt-putt golf to rope courses and river trips.
We've been running canoe, kayak, raft, and tube trips back since 1980 when my husband first started when he was a college student. And then as we've grown and added on, we decided that in order to keep good staff, we really wanted and needed to be open year-round. And we did this one time on our own in the wintertime because it was a nice day in the winter. And we did it and it was so beautiful. We thought, oh my gosh, we need to share this with other people. It was just so gorgeous. I think the highlights were, I would say, probably some of the ice that was clinging to the different logs and things like that, and the snow along the river. The fact that you could actually be on the river in the winter.
One friend and I have kayaked the sturgeon before in the summertime, and we always wanted to go in the wintertime. To me, the winter is the prettiest season in northern Michigan. So we decided it's a great thing to do for a bunch of old ladies.
We've had 80-year-olds go. We've had our youngest, I think, was a 3-year-old. Families love to do it as a group because it's a shared experience and it's something different.
Big Bear Adventures offers treks up and down Indian River throughout the winter. To schedule your own river trip, you can visit their website, bigbearadventures.com. For our final story today, we're heading to the central Michigan city of Clare, where there's a place that really sparkles around the holidays. Rooftop Reindeer Landings has become a premier winter destination for the whole family. Stephanie Mills now introduces us to the Aldrich family and shows us how they're spreading Christmas cheer during the most wonderful time of the year.
Here at Rooftop Landings in Clare, they're bringing the magic of the holidays to life with their reindeer, candy canes, and of course, Santa Claus.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas, boys and girls.
Probably the best part is you don't get a lot of unhappy people. The best thing is during Christmas time, usually you get the happy people. You know, everybody's in a good spirit. Whether you're here or on the road at our events, you're getting to have a lot of fun with a lot of people in good spirit.
Danny Aldridge loves Christmas, and so does his dad, Dave. In fact, when Danny was a kid, his dad's love for Christmas lit up the whole countryside.
We've been a Christmas family for many years, more than 30 for sure. I was kind of brought up in a Christmas family. We were one of the families that everybody drove by the house. We had more Christmas lights than anybody else in the next county. As the lights turned on, the meter spun, but my dad was very entertained by it and liked to entertain the crowd, so reindeer just seemed to fit. When we were in the exotic business to start out and we had the chance to get a couple reindeer, it seemed to kind of fit in with our family.
Their love for Christmas knows no limits. They love sharing the joy of the season with as many people as possible. Well, it started with the lights, and then they brought reindeer to the farm. In 2013, they opened Rooftop Landing to the public for people to not only see their holiday display, but the reindeer too. Today, there is so much more for visitors to see, do, and eat.
He is a fourth-generation candy cane maker. You won't see this anyplace else. Definitely in Michigan, probably in the country. Here we go. He hand makes all these candy canes, all different colors, all different flavors. They make ribbon candy right in front of you. You can't imagine it unless you see it. Multiple different sizes that you can buy. Right here, he's made fresh right every day. And there's a gift shop here. We have a snack bar that has fresh made donuts every day, hot cocoa, hot cider, lots to offer there. Different t-shirts and hats and all the goodies there. Then you make your way outside to the reindeer pen. Feed the reindeer, pet the reindeer, get your pictures taken with them.
There really are a ton of photo ops and activities for kids to do as you all walk through the barns. The highlight, of course, are the reindeer and getting to spend some quality time with them and the big guy himself. The farm is a total family affair. Even the next generation has a hand in it. They're open 2 months before Christmas, but there's still a lot that goes on during the off-season, including planning for what's still to come.
I never thought in a million years, to be honest, that we would be a full-time reindeer farm. It's been fun. We've got a lot more ideas, a lot more dreams. Hopefully they'll come true eventually. I believe my son has a lot more ideas in his head than I do, and we'll see what he can do.
Rooftop Landing welcomes visitors to ring in the Christmas season starting in November of each year. To learn more, you can visit their website, rooftopreindeer.com. And just like that, this episode of Destination Michigan has come to a close. And from all of us here, thank you so much for coming along with us today. We'll catch you next time.